I studied Japanese for 10 years. There's one thing I never trained in: pronunciation.
今はとても暑い季節。今はとても暑い季節です。
Because here's the frustrating thing: you can spend years studying Japanese, the grammar, the vocabulary, the kanji, but still not sound natural. And that's exactly where I am. In all that time, I never deliberately trained my Japanese pronunciation. To be honest, I was blind to the fact that I needed to. During my university studies, I remember my lecturer telling me that Japanese is more of a flat language compared to English. So I just took that as a mindful reminder to sort of be calmer when I speak in Japanese. But I didn't know that there were actual ways of speaking that I should be emulating. After years of living in Japan and picking up the language that I heard around me, now back in New Zealand, speaking English all the time, especially Kiwi English, I'm wondering if I can actually reverse this little problem that I've created with my Japanese. Is it too late? So I'm going to find out. I'm giving myself 10 hours to focus on Japanese pronunciation study. I plan to listen to a native Japanese speaker and see if I can imitate some of what they're saying. I've just been tossing up in my own head about who I choose. So I'm choosing between Layla from the Bite Size Japanese podcast. I really enjoy listening to her. She has a cool story. Kato from Nihongo de Shaberimashou. He's got a really crisp voice. He's got an amazing mic, so it's just like so immersive. And the other one is Nihongo Hiyori. I think of all these three, I'm just going to go with Hiyori, firstly because she's female and it'd be better for me to try and imitate female Japanese language. There are some differences between male and female Japanese. So I've got to go do school pickup now, so I'm going to put Nihongo Hiyori's podcast on and listen to one or more while I'm walking to school. It's going to take about half an hour to walk there. I'm 3 hours and 3 days into my Japanese pronunciation experiment. So far I've just been listening to Hiyori's podcast while doing school pickup, doing my puzzle, cleaning the house. And it's been really nice hearing natural Japanese filter into my mind. And I noticed that when I'm not listening to it, I can still hear her running in the background and feel the flow of Japanese in my mind. There are phrases that I'm definitely not familiar with. I don't think I ever learnt in the beginning, but because of the context, I'm able to quickly understand. Then I interrupt this flow by rewinding, listening again, and trying to say her words out loud. And here's the interesting glitch. She said the date of her podcast recording, and I thought, oh, that would be helpful for me to be able to say naturally in Japanese. So I tried. It was 2026年の3月6日の金曜日です. And here's what might surprise you. I told you that I studied Japanese for 10 years, but actually that was back in the 1990s. I've had a complete gap of not speaking the language for 26 years. So yes, I had to stop and remember how to say 2026, sort of calculate the number in my mind. And while I was trying to remember how to say a number in the thousands, 2026, I had to hold the rest of the podcast recording date in the back of my mind. And I noticed that I started to crumble. I said 2026, March. I was really struggling to remember the day by that point. And then I said Thursday. And I must have had about 10 goes. And finally, after just sort of letting go a little and not trying to hold all those balls in my head, I listened to her properly. Oh, she said Friday. I was saying Thursday. My brain was filling the gap where it felt it wasn't important. I thought, that's so fascinating. The same thing happened with another sentence. 親しみやすい日本語で話します. I wasn't familiar at all with the word 親しみ, but I understood it completely from context. But the thing that tripped me up was my brain suddenly latched onto that word that I didn't know and was trying to conjugate it like, oh, wait, that's an adjective I don't know. That seems really handy. Oh, if it was by itself, what would the full word be? And I realized after rewinding, saying the sentence out loud, I missed the next word, yasui. So I was saying, 親しみ日本語で話します, which is probably completely wrong. So it took quite a few repeats to get my brain to relax, just listen and just repeat what I've heard instead of trying to analyze it. It's kind of interesting to me that my brain thinks in parts of a sentence. Anyway, I deleted an entire word in that process, and that was fascinating. I came into this experiment thinking that learning Japanese pronunciation was about technical aspects, and I haven't even got into anything technical so far in the 3 hours that I've been practicing, because I've realized I've exposed a really weak link in my Japanese. And I realized something else. This type of practice is actually exhausting, not physically but mentally. I thought I could fit Japanese into the gaps of my day, but actually it's not how it panned out. When I did the 2-kilometer walk to school for pickup, I was listening to Japanese, which was lovely, but I was also worrying that I might be late. When I went to drop off my child at a friend's house the next day, and I was in my own space, rewinding, speaking broken Japanese out loud, having a try, rewinding again, listening, this quite intense process was happening while I was trying to navigate heavy traffic. And even with this puzzle, while listening to Japanese and doing the puzzle, I was thinking like, where the heck does this piece go? I thought I was finding little moments to practice, but actually over the last 3 days, I've just got more tired and more tired and more tired, to the extent that yesterday afternoon I had to lie down for 45 minutes and have a nap. 3 hours into this 10-hour experiment, I've discovered something really useful about my brain and how I learn. Even though I thought the challenge would be simple, just go and learn about Japanese pronunciation, find out about the technical aspects, listen to it, repeat it, level up in some kind of way. But I discovered something happening underneath all of that. When I listen to Japanese, my brain has its own built-in system. It thinks in parts, the words, the language, the grammar, the meaning, calculating numbers. And it's doing a big job putting everything together in a way that I can understand. And that's been the biggest surprise out of this experiment. And I realized that Japanese can't naturally fill the gaps of my day. It actually sits on top. So if I want to improve, especially in something as demanding as speaking and pronunciation, it's going to take real time and energy. Why is it not picking it up? Oh yeah, naughty camera.
暑い左折の避難。熱中症に気をつけよう。今はとても暑い季節です。避難しているとき、熱中症にならないように気をつけましょう。
I couldn't find the same Japanese article about the weather to reread at the sort of end of this experiment to see if there was any change in my Japanese. So Here's another article about the hot weather in Japan, and I'll just read the opening sentences.
31日もとても暑くなりました。奈良県、高知県、宮城県では40度近くまで気温が上がりました。1日から8月です。これからも暑い日が続きそうです。気象庁によると、1日は28の県などに熱中症警戒アラートができています。熱中症に気をつけてください。
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't have Hiyori's at the time of saying this. I didn't have Hiyori's voice in my head, her rhythm. I kind of had to context switch because this is news. It's very unfamiliar language, place names. So it felt kind of different. But anyway, useful to do, and maybe there was a slight difference in my pronunciation or fluency. All right, got to let the cat in. Chippy, come in. Yeah. So for the rest of my pronunciation experiment, I'm going to take it slow, maybe do it over a few weeks. Give myself grace because I've learnt that this takes a lot of brain energy. I'm just going to focus for the minute on listening to natural Japanese and having a go at repeating it and trying the natural rhythm of what I'm hearing. Later down the track, I can look more into the technical aspects of Japanese pronunciation once I'm ready, but I don't think I'm quite ready yet.